Last week, I brought you along my journey of being on the road. I discussed the ups and downs of having a constant booth in my car to now hosting my very own event in October. There is just never a dull moment in my life. So if you guys missed that episode, go take a listen. Now, in this week's episode, my guest is Connie from The Painted Photographer, and you may know Connie for her beautiful artwork that she creates, or from her Whiskey Wednesday lives, where she teaches you the how-tos of painting. Let's get this interview started.
Welcome to the Rescued and Upcycled podcast with weekly inspiration, tips on trying new techniques, and overall real talk about owning your own DIY business. Now here's your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock.
Welcome to Rescued and Upcycled. I'm your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock, and I want to thank you guys for joining me on my podcast. The past few weeks have been so fun, and I love the interactions with my guests, so I hope you guys are enjoying them as much as I am. In today's episode, though, I'm so excited to introduce you to my good friend, Connie Hemmer of The Painted Photographer. Connie is very well known for her beautiful artwork that she creates using DIY paint and her signature Connie lines. I want to give a big welcome to Connie, so let me bring her on. Let's see here as I do that. Hey, Connie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. So I'm excited that you're here. And you guys, I just have to tell you, the first time I discovered Connie was through my mother. She actually started watching Connie on YouTube and Facebook. And you actually introduced her to DIY paint. She did drive all the way to Medford to buy it from you. And she always was telling me that you were so inspiring and she just loved it. And she mentioned the wall that you painted at your cabin. Her number one question was, how did it hold up in our horrible Wisconsin weather?
That's true. We don't have very good weather here, especially up north further.
Right.
It held up really well. I painted with DIY paint because, of course, I sold DIY paint. So, of course, why not, use what you have. And at the cottage, I could let my creativity go a little bit more than I could in my own home. So I had a big blank basement wall that was facing the water. So what I decided to do was just paint a whole bunch of paintings on there with the DIY paint. So I had flowers and a swing and a frog and mushrooms and a flag and all kinds of stuff that were painted on that wall. And then I even sealed it with Big Top, with the DIY Big Top. And it held up. It's probably been 5 or 6 years and it's still on the wall. We don't own it anymore, but the paintings are still there.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. I know she's like, she actually went back to try to find a picture of it for me,
I'll have to find one.
I know. She's like, I can't seem to find one. She was scrolling through and stuff. I'm like, it's okay, Mom, because I actually reached out to her when I was trying to come up with interview questions. And I'm like, even though I feel like I really know you, I'm like, there's like so many questions I want to ask you. So this is perfect, but I don't know how you're going to answer some of the questions that I'm going to ask you. So I don't even know, like, I like to prepare myself with like a follow-up question. And I'm like, I don't even know what to say. So I have a lot of like bullet points and we're just going to see where it rolls. So
okay, sounds good.
Yeah. But for my viewers, I started watching Connie like very shortly thereafter as well. And but I was actually finally given the opportunity to meet her when she came to Cranberry Fest in October of last year when I was a vendor there. So I was really excited to meet up and chat. It just seemed really quick though, because it was like, hey, and
it was cold.
Yeah, it was cold. It was cold. It was an eye-opening day or like the whole weekend was eye-opening for me, but yeah, it was very cold. So, but it was great that you stopped by and said hello. And then shortly thereafter, you became a member of my group. So now I get to hang out all the time. So,
yep.
For my viewers and listeners that haven't had the opportunity to have met you or found you, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Connie Hemmer from The Painted Photographer, and I started being a creative way back when I was little. Like I was always doing any kind of art that I could possibly do. And in high school, I took as many art classes as I could. And of course, some had me known as the teacher's pet for
Oh,
a lot of those years. In in both middle school and high school, I was pretty close to the art teacher.
okay.
So it was just kind of fun. It was just something that I had a passion for a long time. And then I had children. So I had my first child when I was pretty young. So I was going to go on to art school. And then my daughter, I couldn't go on to school. I was raising children at that time. So never
Oh,
did pursue any art school. And yeah, then I started, all the crafts that you do when you're, raising families and you need to do something. I did ceramics, I did cross stitch, I did drawing, I did paintings, I um, did whatever I could. Scrapbooking, there was another phase and scrapbooking phase. And so I constantly was doing something. I don't sit still. I'm kind of a little bit like you. Actually, I have a friend who listens to your podcast now, and she said, all I can see, Connie, is you. Sonnet is you. So
I love it.
so
Yeah.
I just don't sit still. So for me to sit and watch TV just doesn't happen. So I have to be doing something.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just always have to, I feel like if I'm not doing, I don't want to say I'm being lazy, but I don't know if I just can't.
Right.
So,
I'm just wasting time.
yes,
It's a
right.
waste of time to sleep, let me tell you.
I know. Right. And believe me, I actually really enjoy sleeping. So like my husband always laughs. He's like, you're the only person that I know that actually her head hits the pillow and you're like almost out instantly. I'm
That would
like,
be me.
because yeah, I maximize every minute I'm awake. So I'm just like, I better sleep fast.
Yep.
But well, that's awesome. Yes, and very similar journey that I had as well. I always thought I was going to go like on to school for like interior design, and then things definitely changed after high school very quickly. So instead I went into like a 9 to 5 job and totally pursued something different. And then I too was doing all the things like I love scrapbooking. I love doing all different art stuff. So I totally feel ya.
Mm-hmm.
But so I have to find out because my mom gave me a little background about your name. Because I'm like, how did she ever come up with the painted photographer? I know she loves to paint. And my mom's like, I think she likes to do photography too. Is
Yep.
that true? Okay.
Yes. So when I was scrapbooking, I got really kind of discouraged with scrapbooking for my kids. And I never had any, which I considered decent pictures.
Okay.
So I taught myself photography.
Oh,
So I learned how to take, and when you put your camera in auto, I
yeah.
learned how to put it in manual mode and control all the settings on my camera, and started to pursue some photography. And then people would ask me if I would take pictures of their kids and their seniors or their babies or whatever.
Right.
So and I love to teach. I love to teach people. So what I did is, after I learned how to take pictures and do pictures for other people, so I started a photography business called Hemerick Photography.
Okay.
And that's a little bit of a different name because my last name is Hemmer and my maiden name is Emmerich. So if you take the H off the end of Emmerich and put it on the front, it spells Hemmer, and then you add the ICH on the end, so it's Hemerick. So
Oh,
it's both of my names in one. So I was an Emmerich and now I'm a Hemmer, and so that's Hemerick Photography. So
that's awesome.
that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, I started to teach classes. So I taught, at least 8 or 9 different rounds of 12 to 15 students in a time on how to go from auto to manual on their camera. And I've had a number of students that they've went into professional photography themselves. So I was doing it myself and I would teach them and they would start it themselves also. And then there were some that were just wanting to take better pictures like me.
Right.
So after I got into photography, I really stopped scrapbooking. I started to take just a lot of pictures, and I stopped scrapbooking because I was constantly taking pictures. And my husband knows how many cameras I have, and it's really kind of embarrassing. I did start with, with film camera. So it's been that long ago. Actually, it's been 21 years ago because my first granddaughter was born and I bought my first 35 millimeter camera. Okay. And so I have a lot of cameras and I do a lot of photography, but then I was getting to where photography just wasn't filling my creative soul anymore because it was just, I knew how to do it and I was doing it for everyone else. I was not doing it for myself. Right. And the only thing that I did like about photography was teaching it. And so I decided to start painting and trying to fill my creative hole that I had. And my girlfriend told me, she says, "You're like the painted photographer." So
she came up with your name?
Yes.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, how did it happen? So your friend named you. Oh, you are like the painted photographer. That's awesome. Okay.
Yes. So now I don't take many pictures anymore. I have a few that I've taken their pictures of their kids every single year, or, if I took pictures of their kids when they were little and now they're graduating, I'll do those. But I really don't take a whole lot of pictures for other people anymore. I just do it for myself.
Okay. So then it wasn't fulfilling your creative soul any longer. So then how did you like transform your, creativity from photography then? I know you said you started painting again or painting, but then how did like your business officially start? Like, how did you go into like going live and YouTube and all that good stuff?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll try and shorten it a little bit.
Okay.
So 21 years ago, when my first granddaughter was born, I had a daughter. My oldest daughter was getting married. And so my sister-in-law and we actually were going to decorate for her wedding. So we found junk on the side of the road. We found a bunch of old junky windows and doors and just old boxes and things like that. And so we decorated for her wedding and painted the furniture and things like that for the wedding. And then not with the photography, I was doing wedding photography. So then we decided to do wedding decorating. So my husband and I and her husband and we went into wedding decorating. So we did wedding decorating for about 5-6 years. And then it was in 2008, I believe, is when nobody was spending money on their wedding, as for the necessity or the luxuries. They were sending them more on the necessities. So really the wedding decorating business stopped, and which was good because we were kind of all burnt out in that anyway. So now we had all this inventory for the wedding decorating. So we decided to paint it. And so we took all the inventory so that we could paint it so that we could sell it for just regular decor versus wedding decor.
Okay.
And I had I went to a sale and a show, actually. I went to a Junk Bonanza. That's what it's called.
Oh.
I went to Junk Bonanza in Minneapolis, and Annie Sloan paint was being demoed there. And I was using Oops paint, like the $1 Oops paint at Menards.
Yeah.
I
know all about that because I did too.
Yep. So I decided to take that Annie Sloan paint class, and I thought, who in their right mind is going to spend $36 on a quart of paint when I can get a gallon for $1, So I went and took the class, and I bought my first quart of Annie Sloan paint from that Junk Bonanza show that I was at, and I never turned back. Like that was it. I was Annie Sloan, I was Amy Howard, I was Rust-Oleum. And then I happened to find DIY paint, and I found it through Jane Belante.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. And so I had my daughter, she asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And so I told her that I wanted DIY paint. I wanted to try it. And she couldn't figure out the website. So I said, well, let me figure it out for you. So I went and figured it out. Well, I ordered a bunch of paint. No more Christmas present. It was me ordering it myself.
Oh my gosh.
So I ordered a bunch of paint from Jane, and then it came and I was sold. I was instantly sold on the DIY paint. And at the time, I was in a store selling my items, and she was selling fusion paint. And I had asked her if I could sell the DIY paint in that store with her fusion paint. So I became a DIY retailer through that store.
Okay. What year was that then? Oh,
I don't even know.
That's okay. I was just curious because, like you were saying, 2008. I was trying to keep the timeline, but
Yeah.
okay. Awesome. So yes, I was curious how you like, navigated into the DIY world. So
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting because my mom is the one that, she tried it from you. And then she's the one that said, when I was like at a point where I'm like, I am over this junk paint that I'm using, I need something
Mm-hmm.
good. And she's like, you've never heard of DIY paint? And she's the one that introduced me to it. And then I tested it out and I totally fell in love too. I mean, there was no going back after.
Right.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, I still have quarts of Annie Sloan paint that are sitting there, and I don't even know why I have them because I'll never use them. I should just get rid of them.
It's funny because I too, like a gal that I know gave me a whole bunch. And I don't know, she bought it and it's like all these waxes and paints. And I'm like, why? So I just always go to, what I know. So I'm like, I probably should be getting rid of it too. Or just use it on some kind of project just to get rid of it, I guess. But I don't know. Like I said,
there's nothing like the DIY wax. Like there's no one else out there that has that amazing DIY wax.
I know.
So
I agree.
I could throw away. I could throw every other brand away.
Right. I know. And I think for the longest time talking about that, I didn't like working with wax because I hadn't tried DIYs. And then when I finally, started carrying it and then I used it, I was like, oh my gosh, it is just amazing.
It is amazing.
And when it hardens, it is like rock solid. So I love it. I know. So that was that. I was curious about that because I said to my mom, do you know how she even started selling DIY? And now I know. So I know when I first met you too, or when we first started chatting, and then we talked about how you actually you went to Debbie Beard's shop in California and you were part of her grand opening for her store. So tell us about that experience. I mean, that would have been so cool, just be invited there and do a workshop for her.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I wondered why she was asking me. Like I was not in the DIY world very long at this point, so and I felt like I was, just one of those small creators that, just using the paint. And then she had asked me if I wanted to teach at the grand opening. And I'm like, me? Do you know who you're talking to? It's me, Connie. And she's like, yes, I know who I'm talking to. And so I'm like, what am I gonna teach? And she's like, oh, you can teach a painting. And I said, okay. And at the time I had just painted a seagull. And I don't know why I painted a seagull, but I painted a seagull. And I said, how about if I teach how to paint a seagull? Because I thought it was really cool and they were fun and easier. And she said, California is not too much of a seagull place.
Right.
I don't know.
It's not like Lake Michigan.
No. So she said, how about a mermaid? Oh, sure. Let me try a mermaid. So I taught how to paint a mermaid. And so I had went there and I had to stay, I didn't know anybody. I know nobody in the paint world at this point. And so I met Debbie and Josie and Sally and Jamie and Zeb and Dion and Kara and Kenise. I met Kenise and Mara. I met all these people. I had no clue who they were. I really didn't. The only one I really kind of knew was Debbie, who had asked me to come for her grand opening. And then she didn't even talk to me. So I was like, ooh, what am I doing here? But I didn't even know her enough to know that she was so shy that she just really, I mean, that was one of her traits, is she just didn't have an outbursting welcoming to anyone new. And she was shy. And I guess I needed to make the first move.
Oh my gosh, that is
So,
funny.
yeah.
Yes, when I met her in California at the IOD conference, I didn't realize that she got so nervous as well until she actually had to go up on stage and like do her presentation. And she was like, so nervous. She had to take her shoes off. She thought she was going to faint. I'm like, really? Because when I like envision her, after I discovered DIY paint and tested it and I was watching the videos, she's like the dancing girl on the
Oh, I
videos.
know.
And she seems so like outgoing. And
Right.
yeah, so I was like, she dances and now she's nervous.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. So she was really shy, but the class was wonderful. The organization that Debbie had to put that class together, I give her 100 thumbs up for what she does and how she does it. She always has everyone else's interest at heart. Her customers, her retailers, and I mean, she just really takes care of all of us retailers. And I wouldn't want to work for anyone else. She's just amazing.
I know.
And she was that way in person as well. And I had an hour to teach the class and it went well. One thing I really like to do, obviously, I like to teach photography, and now I like to teach paint classes. So,
yeah. I know. So like once I found that out, and I am so excited too that you are going to teach a workshop for my October event. And we talked about it a bit, but can you tell the listeners what you'll be teaching at my October event?
sure. So it's an October event. So obviously we want to do more fall and not mermaids or seagulls.
I know.
So I'm going to be teaching pumpkins and how to paint a pumpkin. Pumpkins are my favoriteest thing to paint in the fall, and they're probably one of the easiest things for people to recreate and feel good about themselves. That's what I like to do, is have people feel good about what they paint.
Okay.
And because pumpkins come in all shapes and all shapes and sizes. And so if they're painting a pumpkin, it can look good in, being oblonged or tall or lopsided on one side. And so we're going to be doing pumpkins. And I do not just paint with one color. I paint in multiple colors. And so I teach them how to shade and how to highlight so that it looks like it's 3D versus flat.
Good.
And then I also will teach them how to do Connie lines. So, yeah.
I'm excited. I know, and because you did host a workshop in our membership group, we all got to paint a bunny, and I was actually a little nervous because I'm like, I don't consider myself an artist that way, but by the end, I mean, I had a bunny. So I was really excited. So we didn't do Connie lines though, I don't think. So
no, well, I did do a few, but not many.
Okay.
Yep.
So very exciting. Well, I'm so excited to have you for the October event. And, I know you said that you love teaching. Is that how Whiskey Wednesdays were created?
Yes, kind of.
Okay.
So after I had went to Debbie's open house that she had for her grand opening, I was invited to have a show on the DIY paint page. And so I needed to name my show. Kenise was in contact with me with that. And so I needed to name my show. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to name my show. And I am a big thrifter. I love to thrift and I love to upcycle it. And so I'm like, okay, so none of the shows had anything to do with thrifting at this point. They were all teaching new things and paint techniques and things like that. And so I'm like, let's do some thrifting. And so I'm like trying to think of a name. And so I called it, and I don't know how I found the name, just popped into my head one day, I guess. And it was called Paint It or Pitch It. And so I went onto the DIY paint page every other week and did Paint It or Pitch It. So I would show what I found at the thrift store in the last 2 weeks. And then I would take one of those items and I would paint it. And I would show them how I paint it. So sometimes I would just paint like a box and we'd just do a paint coverage on the box, or inlay or transfer or something like that. But then there were other times that I would teach them how to paint an actual painting.
Okay.
And so how Whiskey Wednesday got started is people wanted to know what I did with all the other stuff. Like I had so much stuff that I had to paint. So they wanted to know what I did with that. So I went on the opposite Wednesday. I went onto my channel and I said, I'll do a live on there and show you what I did with them. Well, one Wednesday, it was nice outside. I really didn't feel like going live because I was like, it's so nice out. I want to stay outside. And in Wisconsin in the spring, you just don't get them very often. So I was being selfish for myself, but I'm like, nope, I have to do it. They're all waiting for me. So I sat on my porch and I showed them what I was all doing or what I did with it. And so I wasn't painting at all. I was just showing them the items. And then I kept saying DIY, and someone said something about DIY, and I said, I'll drink to that because I was having a cocktail. So
Yeah.
I drank to DIY, and then said it again, and someone said drink to that, and I'm like, okay, so I drank to that. And so that is how Whiskey Wednesdays came about, is because they all were like, okay, this is a drinking game now. Anytime you say DIY, we all get to take a drink. So that's been going on for a lot of years. Now I do it every Wednesday. I no longer do my paint it or pitch it, which I'm trying to bring that back onto my YouTube channel. And I started this week starting to get a plan of how I can bring paint it or pitch it back to my YouTube channel.
Fun.
Yeah. And then my Whiskey Wednesday is every single week. And it's Wednesdays at 6:30 Central Time.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's very cool. I know going live for so many small business owners is really scary. Do you have any words of advice since, you did it on the DIY page and now you're going live on your own?
My first live was when I actually went on the DIY paint page. I didn't do them live on my channel first. And it was when Debbie had seen that I painted a pair of my shorts. So I painted a pair of shorts and I put a flag down one side of my shorts. And that's when nobody was painting on fabric.
Right.
And if it's sitting still in my house, it gets painted. So my shorts were sitting still, I guess. So I painted a flag on them. And she seen my flag shorts and she wanted me to teach that on the DIY paint page. So that's how it got started, how I got started on there. But I was really nervous at that point of teaching, how to paint a flag on a pair of jeans, and nobody else had ever done that before. So I guess I hit the go button, and this is it. We're doing that.
You're just doing it. Okay.
Yeah. And once you stop focusing on that, you're recording and people are seeing you, and start concentrating on what you're trying to teach them. And I love to teach people so much that I don't even care what is going on around me. It's just, I'm trying to teach them something new, something to bring out their creativity. Right. So that's what I concentrate on.
Okay. Good advice. I also have to find out, because I think as a creator, we all get inspiration from different things. Like, how do you get inspired to go? Like, how do you come up with the inspiration for your Whiskey Wednesday lives?
Well, if I'm going to be honest, it comes to me when I'm coming home from work. I am not a planner. I am whatever comes to me, comes to me. And last night I did some tin cans. I decoupaged on the tin cans, and that came to me, I am not kidding, 10 minutes before I went live.
Okay.
That is when I decided what I was going to do. And it's just, I kind of look around and, okay, what do I feel like doing tonight? And I just go with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a hot mess, but most of the time I do it. It works. And then when I actually teach a painting, then what I do is I just take inspiration from like what's going on for a holiday, or like right now it's springtime. So I taught how to paint tulips, and in the fall it's pumpkins and sunflowers. And so I take whatever's around me.
Okay.
And
Good.
I teach that.
Yeah. So now I know how you came up with your name, and, how you got into DIY paint and Whiskey Wednesdays. How did you actually how did your YouTube journey begin then? How did that you finagle on over to YouTube?
I don't even know. I think it was Jamie and Zeb who I would watch them on YouTube.
Okay.
And I just seen how they were showing people how to do things and just being successful at it. And I thought, let's try it. Let's try YouTube. I don't know why I did. And, I just, okay, let's do this. And let's put your first one out there and see what happens. And I put my first one out there and it was like, whoa, people watch that.
Right.
Let's try it again. That was just a fluke. Let's try it again. And so I put another one out there and they watched it. And I don't even know why they watched them because they're not good right now. You go back and watch your first YouTube videos and what you've learned today. And it's like, nobody go back and watch them.
I like when I did, because it was my 3-year anniversary, and I'm like, I'm gonna go back to the beginning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I started cringing. Like I was like, oh my Lord. And at the beginning I was like, I am doing so good.
Yep. Well, and then there's people that leave you comments, and one of the comments that I got was, your eyes are really scary, can you change them?
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but it's like my voice. They asked me to change my voice. No, yep. This is my voice. So yes.
My eyes are really scary.
They're not scary. I've never been scared. Oh my God. Oh, that's awesome. People sometimes they just it's like, really? You're actually saying this?
It's keyboard content though. You have to remember it's just, it's good. The algorithms, somebody's commenting on there, so it doesn't matter what they say. Guess what? I got a comment.
Yes.
Everybody tell me my eyes are scary. I don't care.
I'll respond. Thank you.
Yes. I don't remember what I told her, but
yes.
So I believe it was Jamie and Zeb that encouraged me, and not personally, but they encouraged me just because of what they were doing. And I am always, and this is why I'm like you, Sonnet. I'm always looking for the next thing. What's the next thing?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know. I don't want to say like I like to try new things. So yes, I agree. And with YouTube, have you noticed as well that it has really helped your business?
Yes. And I was just selling in a store back when I did DIY paint, and then 2020 happened and I was in a craft store.
Okay.
So it was actually a tanning salon with crafts in it. And so that's where I was selling my paint. And so she got shut down for 2020. So I had to get out of there and take all my paint. I didn't have to take my paint, but I wanted to take my paint out of there. She wanted me to leave it there thinking I'll open up again in a week or 2 weeks. This is just crazy. I don't know what's going on. And I just chose to take it all out of there. And then that's when I decided to start up my website.
Okay.
And because I did not have a website before. So I thought, okay, this is it. You know what? I'm going to have to sell on a website and I'm going to have to figure out how to ship. And shipping was scary. Shipping was as scary as going live on Facebook.
I know.
And yeah, it's a scary thing. So I'm like, okay, I can figure this out. So I started to see that website increase when I went live on YouTube, or when I did a YouTube video. I would see the increase in sales on my website. I'm like, hey, this is cool. And it feels so good that people are watching you and appreciate what you're doing and want to try it themselves, and you've inspired them to do this, and so they go to your website and they shop your website. And so yeah, I did notice the increase on my website, and then I also noticed the increase in the views and the comments and things like that. So it's been really good. I also had a local customer that found me through YouTube. She was about an hour away, and she found me on YouTube and reached out to me and said, hey, do you have a store? And now I'm in a hardware store. So the tanning salon that I was in was only Monday through Fridays, sometimes on Saturdays, and it was only from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. And now I'm in a hardware store that opens up at 7 o'clock, and it's 7 days a week, and it closes at 8 p.m. So it's perfect for all of those people that are working or not working to come and shop. So it really, COVID was a hard thing for a lot of us, but it brought out so much good in a lot of things.
Yes, I would have to agree, honestly. Yes. So, well, that's interesting, starting in a tanning salon. So, so you had your booth then before you had YouTube?
No, no. Well, I would take stuff to the tanning salon to sell.
Yeah.
So it was just a small few items that I would take there
Okay.
to sell, but I was actually selling the paint and the IOD in the tanning salon.
Okay.
And so then when she was shut down, then I stopped that as well. Like I
Okay.
totally pulled out of the tanning salon. And then the hardware store that I'm in, it's Foreman's Farm Home.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, they couldn't take any painted items from me and sell those. It was just the paint and the IOD is what they wanted. So then I just didn't have my stuff in a business. So I put all of my thrifted stuff or my painted stuff online and said, okay, if I know how to ship paint, I guess I can ship
Right.
items as well. So I had two websites at first, and that I learned that I just needed to combine the two websites together and sell paint and thrifted items and painted items all in one and figure out the shipping from there.
Right. Okay. I know that's something that I actually am considering doing. Like, I make it or I paint or upcycle everything, and then I don't initially put it in my booth right away. So I thought, well, maybe I should just take a photo, put it online if anybody wants it. So I'm thinking about doing something like that versus going and doing like Whatnot, like a lot of people are doing right now. So,
yeah. And, right now I'm in you can call it a booth. It's a store, but I have one special area for me. And I can't, everything in that booth, it's called the gift shop on Medford's Main Street.
Oh.
And it has to be homemade. You have to have touched it in some way. So I can't sell any thrifted items like any plates or figurines or things like that in that store. So that is a good place for me to do them, to sell them, is on my website, because of course I have to shop for them. They're just sitting right there.
Yes.
Somebody needs to buy them.
Right. I know. And so in our membership group, this will be our third time we're doing the 40/40 challenge.
I know. I heard that.
I know. And then Connie's like, do you guys know how inexpensive my thrift store is? I'm like, yeah, I'm heading down there after I watched your reel, and 29 cents or 49 cents. I'm like, $40 is going to go really far in there. So is everything like around those prices?
There's some things that they price a little bit higher, but I'm just so used to those inexpensive items that if I see something for, it sounds terrible, but if I see something for $3.99, it's like, oh no.
It's funny because my mom said there were a couple of things she just walked right by, and I thought I would have totally bought that. I'm like, well, now I understand why, because it was probably $3.99.
It was probably $3.99.
Yeah, I'll tell her. Because she's like, I couldn't believe she passed it up.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, Mom, were you watching that close? So
I do have some people that watch pretty close.
Yeah. Well, my mom is one, so you have an avid viewer, so you'll be
excellent.
So what have been some of your struggles or obstacles that you've had to overcome with, as your business has grown, or I know everyone faced the challenge of 2020, but any other things that really stick out?
I face the challenge of having the time to do it, because right now I am still working full time.
Okay.
And the place where I work, we moved from one building to another building. So we are extremely busy and have been since November, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. So I am work is consuming a lot of my time. And so that is what I'm finding a hard time with right now is getting a YouTube edited or even filmed. Like for me to paint after work, it just doesn't happen very much anymore. And especially with having to do Whiskey Wednesdays. So Wednesdays I got to do that. And then my website is doing well. So every night when I come home from work, I have to ship.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to pull the product, and my husband helps me. They call him Wilson. And the reason they call him Wilson is because if you ever see him on camera, you're only going to see this much of him. So his name isn't Wilson, but they call him Wilson.
Oh my gosh.
He does my shipping. He boxes everything for me and weighs it and measures it and writes it down on the invoice. And then I make the labels and things like that. So we do it together. And by the time we get done shipping and then to start a project to film it, it's a lot. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm trying to balance my work life a little bit more, especially with it getting nicer in the wintertime. From November until now, I really didn't mind working 10 to 10 and a half hours a day. And now I'm like, okay, so we need to get out of there at 4 o'clock when you're supposed to leave. We need to leave at 4 o'clock so I can enjoy the nice weather, and I can also have a home life that I need to get back to. So right. I have a plan for how I'm going to try and get more YouTube videos up, because again, if you are starting out, that is where you'll be the most successful, is on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. And consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being consistent. That was one thing that I just decided right from, the very beginning was, if I'm going to put a video out on Monday, I'm going to do it every Monday. And so I think I started with Mondays. It was either Mondays or Fridays where I had a whole week, like all week long to tape and do it, or it was over the weekend. I can't remember. But then I all of a sudden I'm like, I'm going to do 2. And my friend Brendan, who encouraged me, was like, you're going to do 2? You just started doing 1. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to start doing 2. And now it's just, I don't know. Even on days when I don't want to, it's like I force myself to do it. So mm-hmm. I'm like, they're waiting for me. They're waiting.
Yep.
And out of the 3 years, I think on one hand, I can count how many I missed. And it wasn't because, like, one time I think I had the flu. I mean, it was like major issue is why I didn't. Yep. So, but yeah, so that's awesome that you have a plan.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. So are you going to tell us your plan?
It's just making the time to do the videos, and not going into work so early. I get up at between 4 and 4:30, and I'm not supposed to be to work till 7 o'clock, but I'm at work a lot sooner than that.
Okay.
So I'm just going to start editing some of the videos in the morning before I go to work, and then I'm going to leave work at 4 o'clock and come home after that. And I will be reaching retirement age real soon. So I'm hoping that within the next couple of years, I can retire from my job.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask you next. If you were planning on eventually like retiring and then doing that full time. So
Yep. Okay. So that's what I plan to do. And that would be like, I don't think it's going to happen in 2024, but you know what? It might, but I think 2025 might be my year.
Yeah. Well, I can see good things coming your way. Mm-hmm. So I do. I need to ask you though, like, who is the most inspirational person? Like, where do you get the most inspiration if you had to pick like one person?
If I had to pick one person. So when I get up in the morning, my husband is already gone to work. He works very early and he gets home very early in the afternoon. So we spend a lot of time apart. But okay. So in the mornings, I'm all by myself. And I watch YouTube videos or Facebook Lives or things like that. And so I have transitioned a little bit lately to some different people. So okay. I watch your videos and I watch Heather's videos, Heather from Create Your Own Cozy.
Yeah.
And so I watch those videos a lot. And I'm really glad you do 2 a week, because then I can watch them more often.
Are you upset that I do? Because some of my viewers are upset that I do 2-hour lives. So
I don't watch those. I don't
okay.
watch the lives. I just watch the edited videos.
Oh yeah.
So if I were to be inspired by someone, when Debbie Beard puts out a YouTube video, I have to watch it. Like it is like now. I have to watch it. So it doesn't matter if you have a new one or Heather has a new one. Sorry, I have to put you on the back burner.
Right.
But Debbie gets my first views. She is the way she's doing her videos now. I absolutely love it, and I wish that I could be as creative and like B-roll as her. And if you don't know what B-roll is, it's just that extra videos showing the like a vlog kind of thing.
Yes. It is very it just is very time consuming. And after hearing how many hours go into one of her edited videos, it's just crazy.
I know.
It is like a piece of artwork for her. So
yes.
Yeah. And I just love how she tells a story, and I just love it. So I do too, get inspired by her. So
yeah,
she's very inspirational, and she always just has just a great piece of advice, it seems like. And I'm like always moved by it. So I completely understand why.
And I can tell people watch her and get inspired from her, and then order from the retailers that they, know, because when she showed the cottage colors and she used the paint frosting with the cottage colors, I got orders for cottage colors and the paint frosting.
Oh, good.
So that they're getting inspired from her, but they're still coming back. She sends them back to the retailers, which is very, very nice that she does that. So she sends them to their favorite retailer, and I get orders for the cottage colors and the paint frosting.
I know. I was wondering if something happened, like if I do talk about Big Top a lot, and I talk about Liquid Patina because they are my favorites, but like I don't know. In the last couple of days, like it cleaned me out of. I had to place another huge order because I'm like, everybody was ordering it, and I was like, did I do a video recently? Or somebody must have. So I thought, well, whoever did it, thank you. That may have did what I mean? Did that extra push. So
right. That's what my husband always says. If my cash register is going off a lot, he'll go, "What did you do?" Posted a video.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yes, exactly. So, now the last little bit before I want to dive into kind of like your booth journey, but I do want to if you had a word of advice for somebody who is just starting off, like dabbling in painting, or what is there any advice that you'd give them? Because I truly consider you as an artist.
Thank you. I really think that they just you just need to do it. And when I taught my photography classes, I would say, if you are trying to take photographs like I do, it's not going to happen, because only I take photographs like I do.
Right.
And so you're not going to be able to do that. So only take photographs like you want to. You can only see what you see, and I see what I see. So when I teach art, I do the same thing with art. Is I can only paint the way I paint, and you can try to paint like me, but it's not going to happen. You're not going to be successful. You're going to paint like you. So find your style and find the way that things work for you and you like to do them. But take my advice, and I teach in shapes. So when I'm painting, and everyone always makes fun of me, make a C, because I'm always making a C. And so you can take my advice as far as the shapes that you need to do, but then add your own spin on it, add your own creativity to it. And all of a sudden you're going to start to find a style. And then another thing is find a color or colors that work for you. And that helps with your style as well. So like, I love Old 57. That is my color. And I'm not a whole lot of bright colors, but I do like color. So that would be what I give for advice, is just make your own style and do your own thing, take advice from others, but really just make it your own.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I I think that really pertains to anything you do. I mean, if you think like like even like a YouTube channel or like just your style in general for like your Facebook page and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes can tell when people are a little bit more influenced by some other creators because then they try to be them
Yeah,
and they're not being true to themselves.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can like Debbie Beard's videos all I want, but I can't do them. And I'm not even going to try because that's just her, and
Right.
I can't do it.
Right.
So
No, I totally understand.
she inspires me a lot, but she
Yes.
doesn't inspire me enough to try that.
Right. I know, and I have been talking about like I want to change my videos up a little bit, but I'm changing a lot right now in my business, so that's gonna be like backburnered a little bit longer. But I've been doing research and like I just have a vision of how I want my videos to go. And what I decided to do was when I decided I think I needed a change, I actually just went into all different niches. Like I went outside of the DI realm and I am my dog's barking, but I am just going to see what they're doing and how they put together a video. And I was really inspired by quite a few different, different niches. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm slightly obsessed with people that live out of the back of their trucks. If I was a younger person, I am like, I might actually do this. Like, live out of a van.
Yep.
I don't know. So it just seems so fun. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been like, my husband's like, what do you want to watch? I'm like, oh, let's watch this van life or whatever it is that's going on right now. I'm like, he's like, oh boy, Sonnet.
I have one of my employees. She actually just gave her 2-week notice and quit last week, and that is what she's going to do. She is going to live out of their vehicle and just travel.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes.
she's very young, she doesn't have any children right now. She's very young, and she's like, that's what I want to do. And how can I hold you back?
Right.
Go
do it. I know exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was in my 20s and the like van life was a thing, I probably would have did it. So,
Yep.
I mean, it just looks so fun.
Uh-huh.
And she could be taping it and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, I should have told her that.
I know you should. Oh, it's awesome. I know we briefly touched on like your vendor booth and how you started in the salon, then you kind of moved it all to the hardware store, and now you just got in the it's like is it like an L-shaped booth or like a wall you said?
Where I'm at right now is called the gift shop on
the gift shop.
Main Street. Yep.
Yep.
And where they have a lot of vendors in there, and so where they've positioned me for right now is it's kind of like under the stairs.
Okay.
So there's an upstairs and a downstairs. And so when you go downstairs, which is a lot of the painted creative creators down there, and if you just go right around the corner, I'm right there underneath the stairs. So it is kind of a squarish booth, but it has a slanted because the stairs are going up. So it doesn't have a whole lot of wall space. I'm hoping that as I'm there for a while, that maybe someone else will move out and I'll get a wall space because it's been going extremely well there. Mm-hmm. I was in a store like that, and it was in Gilman, Wisconsin, and it was called the Hidden Treasure. And there, when I would take my stuff there, you would commingle it everywhere in the store. And there was an upstairs and a downstairs. So you would take stuff and you'd commingle it everywhere. So I couldn't, and I didn't know this, but I couldn't get my style because I had to commingle it with everybody else. So now when I'm in the gift shop, this is my style. So people, they actually, and they've told me that they go in the store and they're like, where's Connie's? And they'll just go right down to my booth and they'll look at my stuff. And, they don't have to look all around the store to try and find it.
Right.
And the same with other booths too, is they don't have to look for them as well. So it's kind of like, a booth space, but it's actually a very it's a very nice store that
Right.
just has multiple areas that you look at, and they're not really separated by anything. You just kind of mingle right in from one to the next.
Okay. Oh, okay. Are there not like, so like I'm at a store called the Yield Goat where we have like specific, walls and dedicated spaces. Are there any locations like that in Medford?
No.
No. Okay.
The closest one that we have is the Stevens Point. It's the sister to Yield Goat.
To,
It's the
or to Antique Up. It's Antique Up.
Antica.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2020, my sister and I were going into Antique Up. We were getting a space and we were already approved,
Okay.
and we were moving in the next week, and 2020 happened. And so we didn't end up doing that.
That is actually all like before Antique Up came to Kimberly, were near me. That was always like a spot that I wanted to have a booth, was the Stevens Point location, because it is very like well known and
Yes.
lots of foot traffic. And I had thought about it, but I'm at Water Street Vintage and it takes me about 40 minutes to get to Water Street. And I am just not as, I don't want to say I'm not as dedicated, but it's much more difficult to drive there every week. And every time I go, I always seem like I forget something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's not like Yield Goat is literally blocks away from my home, so I can just quick go back and forth. So I always have to be so strategic. And when I realized that, I mean, Stevens Point from here is quite a trek. So
right. And same for me. It's about an hour and a half for me to Stevens Point. And, it was just okay, so God told us that this isn't the answer for us right now. And
right.
So we didn't end up doing it. And then after, we thought about it, and it was like, okay, so yeah, we're not doing it at all. When they said we could get in, after they opened the store back up and they said you could come in, and we're like,
right.
no, we're done. And not wanting to do that. And I'm so glad that we didn't, because the Gilman store was 45 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
And with my work schedule, and they closed at 5:00, I really didn't get there to, refresh anything or take new product in. It was just hard to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're too far away, it's hard.
It is. Absolutely. And that is one thing that I have been trying to get better at, is like fluffing my booth once a week, or, at least getting there and like making sure that nobody has like totally destroyed it. So,
yeah.
And it's hard. So,
yeah.
Especially when you work a full-time job and,
right.
and do all the things. So, what has been one of your biggest challenges that you have found since you have like, I guess I still consider the hardware store like kind of like a vendor booth for you, but like your new location?
The hardware store, it's been a challenge because they've grown since I've been there. So they've also changed owners.
Oh.
So it was just a small town business owner who had it when I went in there. He took a chance on me, and I had to go and actually talk to him and convince him that my items, my DIY paint and my IOD products would sell in that store. And he wasn't really convinced, but there was a gal there. Her name was Tina. And Tina really was on my side. And she's like, nope, this is it. Women love this stuff. Women will come in here and buy this stuff. And I said, women will come from all areas, and they'll come just to shop the DIY or the IOD. Obviously, your mom did.
Yeah, that's right.
So between Tina and I, we really convinced him to give me a shot, and it went very well. And now they've changed owners. And so this is a company that's, I believe they're in Texas, that owns the store now. And so they've increased they have furniture, Lazy Boy furniture, and they have garden art, and they have patio tables, and they have increased all of this other product. And so my area kind of keeps getting shifted, but they're really known for their paint in Medford because of Tina, and there's a gal there, her name is Jen, and they are like the paint experts. So really people go there and they are very good with their paint. They know their colors. They know what goes with those colors. If someone's in there, struggling with wall paint or a craft that they're doing, they'll go in there just to ask Jen or Tina about that paint. And so those girls sell me there. They really do, because I'm not there. And my daughter works there too now. She's the assistant store manager there now. So she's there. So she'll call me up and say, hey, Mom, I got a customer here that doesn't know how to do this, or what product would you suggest? And so, yeah, those gals at Foreman's Farm Home in Medford, they sell me well.
Okay, good.
I'm very, very happy. I need them. I'm very pleased with them.
Yeah, awesome. Any word of advice that you'd want to give anyone who is starting a new vendor booth?
Just do it. You know what? You can cancel it in 3 months if it doesn't work for you.
Right.
Just give it a try. And when you're new and you have something new to offer and you advertise yourself enough, you're going to have people that are curious about you, and they're going to go and look at your stuff, and they're going to buy. And sometimes that newness wears off, but you really have to work to get people to come in and see what you're doing next and see what's up, and like you said, refluff your booth or change it up. And that is one of my plans. Like right now, I really wish that I could take items in that weren't touched by me, because I'd really like to make my booth look like an old potting shed. And, with all the clay pots that I've been getting, because I just got about 15 more from the thrift store for like 98 cents or 38 cents. That reel's coming soon.
Oh, I can't wait.
So I really wish that I could take things in there like that and just do kind of a potting shed look and have the garden signs that I painted and things like that. And if you put that on your social media and talk about that, people are going to, I'm going to go see what she's got. And they're just going to go there just to see, what it looks like. And they're probably going to buy. So my advice would be just do it. Just put your heart into it and try it and really put some effort into it and see if it works for you.
Right.
If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I know. Treat it like it's your own store, because that's what it is. So, and I really think like the people at like the Yield Goat that are extremely successful, that's what they do. They treat this like it's their store. They're there constantly, like moving stuff around, fluffing and adding. So that is really the way to be successful. And just do it. I do have to ask though, your rice paper, I wanted to bring this up and I'm like, how am I going to finagle this question in? So, I mean, you've been painting, you now have created your own rice paper. Are any of the rice papers available at any of your stores or just online?
My rice paper is just available on my website. And I'm trying to make a change to that. That is one of the things that I got in the plan, is to have some retailers that will be able to sell my rice papers along with myself. And so I've been doing rice papers for about a year now. I started last spring. And what I do is I just take the paintings that I create and I create rice paper out of them. So I've had a lot of people want to buy my paintings, and rice paper is really an inexpensive way to get my creation. And you don't even have to be crafty to use my rice paper. You can buy a frame at a thrift store or buy a frame at a regular store and put a piece of rice paper in there, and you have a piece of my art in your home. So, and you can decoupage with it and whatever else you want to do. The mixed media is a big one for that. So it is all hand painted artwork that I've done.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Yeah, and it is very exciting.
Yes, and if you guys don't already know, Connie is now creating an exclusive rice paper for my maker's box. So you guys are going to really love it. I've seen a couple of the designs already, and but yes, I'm very excited to kick that off. So and hopefully maybe I'd be one of the retailers.
Yeah. Yep, that's my plan, is to just
Okay.
put it out there and see if I can find some retailers that would want to put it on their website or in their store.
Oh, yes.
And um, I think that if people would see it, they would know what it's all about, and be able to, sell it as well.
Yeah.
And I could sell that in the gift shop on Main. I could sell it in there because I handmade it, and I
Yeah.
actually print that paper myself too. I just haven't figured out how to put it in the space that I have allotted.
Right.
So I will be working on that also, to try
Right.
and figure out if I can find some type of display unit to put that in there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm really excited. I know I got Happy Mail from you, and that was when I first discovered your rice paper. All of a sudden I'm like, what's this? And then I opened it up. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's awesome. And I did a whole video on it. So
Yep.
yeah, it was really good. So I loved your churches that you made, or
Oh,
the churches were so cool. So
yep.
but yes, so you guys be watching for Connie's paper in the maker's box. So I'm excited about that. But so let's see here. I think I basically asked you all the questions I wanted. Anything that you want to tell anybody about you that I haven't asked you?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, I'm just putting you on the spot. No.
Yep. You did it. You got me on the spot.
Yeah.
That one. So.
I know. I was like, don't worry, everyone. I am not going to ask you any questions that will put you on the spot. And then I did it. I'm so sorry. But no, it's been awesome getting to know you even more. I mean, like I said at the beginning, like I felt like I really knew you. And then I'm like thinking, gosh, I don't know this about Connie. I don't know this. So what a really interesting journey of your small business, and how, it transformed through the years. And I think that that's how every small business is, though. Like you just keep on rolling with it, and it just creates itself.
My dad was an entrepreneur in his day. He owned a bike shop, and then he owned a bar. And so I grew up in a bar. My mom and dad owned a bar, and he did that. And anything that he could do to get people to come into the tavern was, that was his goal. And he even, so kind of like a 2020 or something. When my brothers were older, and I come from a family of 11, and so I'm number 8. So I'm called the little kids. There's the big kids and there's the little kids. So I'm one of the little kids. So when my brothers were working, and they all got laid off, and I have no idea where they were working, but they were all laid off. And so my dad was concerned about them not being able to come to the tavern to buy drinks. So he created this, he called it the Sunday Night Club. And on Sunday nights, these laid off guys could go there and get pitchers of beer for a discounted price, so that he could still get their business. And because they weren't working, and they could come on a Sunday night, and they didn't have any, a lot of money because they were laid off. So he created this Sunday Night Club. And then his next thing was, okay, the Sunday Night Club has to do something. Since we're a club, we have to do something. So the Sunday Night Club and my dad created what was called the Jalopy Run. And so they had jalopy snowmobiles that actually all met there on a Saturday or a Sunday. I'm not sure what it was at the beginning. And then they'd go and take a trip in their jalopy snowmobiles, and they'd come back. And all of his events, like he did a lawnmower poker run because people came to the bar, and he'd always include other businesses along with his. So he was promoting everybody else that was kind of in that rural area. And my mom was a head bartender at a restaurant. So she was a very good old-fashioned maker. Yeah, which is where I got that from. But then she retired, and she started working in the bar full time. And then my mom got sick, and my mom passed away when I was old enough to like her, which sounds terrible. But when you're that bratty teenager, you don't really like your mom too much. And she passed away before, when I finally started to like her. But she was a thrifter and a crafter as well. So that's where I get that from. So I get my business side from my dad, and I get my crafting, creative side from my mom.
So I love it.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just so fortunate that I get to still hang out with my mom, and I do like her. There are days too where I'm like, Mom. She's like, what? I'm like, oh, never mind. I'm like, you already told me that story.
Yeah.
So, but I love her. And I would not have found DIY paint. I would not have found IOD without her. So I totally understand.
Your mom is great. I've chatted with her a number of times. So she's an amazing lady.
Yeah. Gotta love Tina. Well, her name's Tina.
Yep,
Gotta love Tina. Oh, well, it has been so great having you on my podcast. I want to thank you for that. Where can my viewers and listeners find you? Let's see. I think here it is. The Painted Photographer. Did I spell it right? Yes. On YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So that's where you can find her.
You can find me at The Painted Photographer on YouTube, Facebook, and my website is Painted Photographer also. And then Instagram, that was already taken. I don't know why, but that was already taken. So it's Connie_painted_photographer.
Oh.
Yeah, it was weird, but
that is weird.
I'm like, two painted photographers.
There are. That's interesting. Well, all right. So yes, go and find Connie out there and give her some love, you guys. But yes, thank you so much for being part of my podcast. And I know my viewers are going to love you as much as I did from the moment I met you. So, all right, guys. Well, in next week's episode, I am going to be talking about why I decided to launch my subscription box. And I kind of gave you guys a little hint that Connie's going to be one of the papers in it, along with Royce as well. So I'm so excited.
That's an honor.
I have agreed to do it. So I really appreciate it. So if you guys are listening on any of the podcast platforms, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you guys don't miss out on an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and let me know what you guys think of the podcast in the comments. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sonnet's Garden Blooms, where I post a whole lot more content on the daily over there. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.